My mindset was like, this is what I got to do to work. This is what I got to do to make money. Just do it. Don't bitch, don't complain, just do it. Like, that's it. No one's helping me, right? It's like if I want to get it, I have to do it myself. No one's giving me a handout, so I have to do it myself.
Not only my project is growing, but I'm growing with the project.
But like, if you can accept the failures and know their learning process, then for me, like, that's what it's all about.
Key to winning this game is staying in the game.
Welcome back to Rebuild. Today's our final founder deep dive session from the first episode. I talked to Joe way back in early April, and his offline education business was hit so hard by this crisis. But this guy's resilience, his positivity, his persistence is truly special. And this is exactly what we need in this kind of rebuild. So I was honored to be able to witness this, dissect it with him, and try to understand his whole process. And I'm really excited to share this with you right now. I'm also excited to say that next week, our second full episode of The Rebuild will be released. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and we will finally get to see those updates by these 5 founders. But first, let's get into Joe's founder deep dive session right now.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. First of all, thank you for having me. A little bit about myself. I'm from Toronto, Canada, born and raised. And I moved over to China in 2008. And I started a early childhood education business in 2010. And I've been doing it ever since. So this year would be our 10th year.
It's a big achievement already. And I mean, you must feel great about that achievement. Most people, you know, the traditional statistic is that most people never get it out of the first year. And yet you've made it 10 years. Yeah. And because we're friends and, you know, we talk so much about business, I've seen so many of your struggles. I'm curious a little bit later to see how this particular challenge compares to the other ones. But before we get to that, how does it feel to be approaching this level of your business?
To be honest, I would have been a lot more excited if not for this pandemic that's happening, because, you know, leading on to the biggest challenges, this would be it. This would be it.
Yeah.
Aside from that,
so that's like, yeah, for sure. This is the biggest challenge you've ever faced, right? Okay, cool. So you're not the only one. Some of the others that I've talked to have also said the same thing.
Aside from that, though, time really flies. Like I can't believe it's been 10 years. That's a decade. That is a long time. That's a long time. Like, where were you 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, 2010. 2010. That's, my goodness. I definitely am. Yeah, I'm somewhat proud that I can still stick with my business, still stick with what we're doing. Um, but you know, it's definitely not been easy. However, yeah, I'm just thinking about it now. 10 years, it's just gone by so quick, and you know, time really does fly when you're having fun, right? So
yeah, and that's the thing I really resonate with you, is that your passion is just so infectious. Your positivity is so infectious, and I mean, it blows me away because the challenges that you've seen are real, right? I mean, you've had partner issues, you've had government challenges, obviously like landlords. There's just so many different issues when you're talking about education business or childcare business in China specifically, in general, and then in China specifically, right? So I know you pretty well, and your business now has I forget what the number's always changing, but it's around like 8 centers, right? At the peak, I think it was 7, and and then you have a franchise business and some other pieces too.
License, yeah. So we have licensed partners that license our program, and we have franchises. So we're very excited to open a brand new franchise out in Chengdu, which is going to be the biggest one outside of Shanghai. So very excited.
And then I'm curious also, that just to give people a little bit more context about who you are, I know you as a guy who is passionate about many things. Education is your baby. You work with that so much, but you also have a few other things that you really spend a lot of time on, or at least spend some time on. I guess not a lot of time, but you dabble in a few other businesses. Is that right?
Yep, I help my sister with her fashion business, so she's a designer.
And then on top of that, you also have a menswear thing that you were working on for
Yeah,
some time, kind of a hobby or is it a hobby or was it a business or where would you frame that?
it's more of a hobby, more of a
Okay,
hobby, something I really like doing for myself, and I did it for friends too. And so,
that
anytime I needed to get some clothes made, it's just that I really love those kind of details. I love fabrics. I could talk fabrics all day, man.
yeah, okay,
But
cool.
anyways,
So, I mean,
let's
I,
get
I
back to
think
it.
that was a really great kind of diversion to get a sense of the passions that Joe has and the kind of entrepreneurial spirit, and not just like Joe, the busy bee owner, because this guy is multidimensional, right? He's very well rounded, and that's why I'm really excited to have him on the rebuild. I mean, we also have the other show, but this one I thought was just perfect because we're always talking about business, and here's just another extension of that, right? Um, and especially because after talking to you over the past couple of weeks and months, a lot more, I understand that this crisis is significant. I mean, you're not even in Shanghai right now, right? So can you give the audience a little flavor about what's happening from your perspective on your business?
Sure. I left China to come to Taiwan with my wife to deliver our baby. That was end of January. That was when things started getting bad in Shanghai. That's when the news broke out. Things were getting bad. And so I was supposed to only stay for a week and then go back to Shanghai and then stay there and then come back to Taiwan for the baby, for delivery, and take care for a couple of weeks. But I decided to stay in Taiwan because I was afraid I couldn't leave China or Taiwan would stop, would have travel bans. Now that week turned into like coming on 3 months. Okay. So so I left Shanghai. It's coming on 3 months, and everything in China has stopped, has closed. From the time the news broke, it's still closed. It's going on 3 months. Okay, so schools have been closed for from the end of January till now. They're closed. Okay, now this is not just public schools, private schools, training centers, you name it. So this whole industry, we are getting hit very hard. Uh, has it been stressful? Of course. I have a team to feed, right?
Yeah, and so
They
what
have
does that
families
mean
to
in
feed.
dollars and cents? If everything's closed, what does that look like from kind of a revenue point of view, or not specific numbers, obviously, but like
Oh
what
man.
happens?
Well, basically, the first month we were kind of okay. We could pay rentals, we could pay our salary, our team. That was fine. Come second month, because we thought that maybe the second month we'll have notice of when we can open. We didn't get that notice. All we got was it's being pushed back, or we're gonna wait. Government's gonna wait, gonna wait, gonna wait. So with all this uncertainty and basically no notice, it's really affected us in terms of planning and in terms of budgeting. We gotta pay rent, salaries. We have overhead, and so the longer we have no notice, no planning, no income, we're just waiting to die pretty much. We're just waiting to be out of the game.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've been talking through this again. I have to say that. So, how you feeling throughout all this? I mean, is this the way I see it? The way every time I talk to you, I mean, it is a bit of up and downs, but in general, you're super upbeat. You're super positive about it. Like you have your kind of like moments where you're freaking out, and we have bro talk time. But what's it like to go through something like this? This is, and I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that it's like this right now. 10 years, it's your baby, and you put everything into it. So
I can't tell you what like I think what I'm feeling when I'm going through this is very different than what people would expect. I actually feel okay. Like I feel okay because a part of me it's very logical, right? It's very logical in the way how I break it down and how I justify to landlord, team, parents. It's very like we're this is not just our business. It's not just our industry. It is the entire world. The entire world is suffering, right? We're all suffering right now. So this is the time to really help each other out, right? This is not the time to like blame or be negative because the whole world's suffering. Everyone is hurt right now. There's no need for that. There's no room to be negative. There's not enough time in your life to be negative, especially now, right? So we want to make the most of it. And so I think I definitely had times during this whole period. Of course, I had times where I was quite stressed, but a part of me is still, yeah, it's faith. I think faith and a strong belief that things will get better.
That's amazing.
There's
I think
always
what I heard from you is just that perspective. It's not just like this microcosm of your business, but there are the other people involved. It's not just one region or city, but a whole country, and not just a whole country, but the whole world. And I think when you have that kind of perspective, everything just like falls into place, and you're not really so stressed anymore. It's not just like focusing on your own kind of pains. And I think that's how you can deal with something like this, right? And then on top of it, what you're saying, the sense of faith is super critical too. How does this compare to the other things? Is this the same kind of belief or the same kind of way that you deal with the crisis in past, all the other challenges that you've had?
Oh, heck no. This one, it has definitely been the most challenging because I'm getting hit on all fronts. Whereas in the past, it might only be one front out of like the 5 or the 10. It might be 1 or 2 areas. And when it's 1 or 2 areas, it's easier to put out fires this way. But when you're getting hit at the same time, everywhere, hitting you at the same time, it's very hard to have a comeback strategy or a defense. It's very hard to have a defensive plan.
And has those past challenges, learning how to deal with at least one challenge at a time, did it build up any kind of resiliency? Or oh, you disappeared. Oh, you're back. Did that kind of help you build up some resilience?
I think for me, I'm very different from everyone else. Of course, everyone is different, right? Everyone is their own person. They're very unique. But I think I've always been resilient ever since I was like as young as I can remember, man. And especially when I was younger, my mindset was like, this is what I got to do to work. This is what I got to do to make money. Just do it. Don't bitch. Don't complain. Just do it. Like that's it. No one's helping me, right? It's like if I want to get it, I have to do it myself. No one's giving me a handout, so I have to do it myself. So from the get go, from the very beginning, I've always had that kind of mentality, that attitude. It's like I got no handouts. My parents, they're average at best or middle to low at best. So yeah.
And I resonate so much with that. It's that immigrant lifestyle. It's that entrepreneurial lifestyle. My father was also an entrepreneur, and we just saw that growing up. And I thankfully they were giving so much to me. I didn't really have that. I didn't need to develop it until I went off on my own, and then I realized like, oh, I want that too in a weird kind of way. And I think we're always looking forward. We're always trying to see like what else can we do, right? And so now that you're in this extreme situation and your back is against the wall, how are you looking at the future? What are your options and what are you thinking about?
First and foremost, we got to survive this thing because I think I said this before. The key to winning this game is staying in the game, right? You got to stay in this game to win it. Number 2, how to survive this thing? We have to change our business model, 100%, because we are brick and mortar. At this point, the government is saying like, no, you cannot go outdoors. You got to stay inside. Stay away from people. Schools are still closed, so we definitely need to change up our business model or provide other services or products to sell.
Okay, so that's really for your business. You're just trying to innovate and trying to experiment, right? Do you think what are the challenges going to be in doing something like that? What do you foresee?
Well, I can tell you that we're good at brick and mortar. We're not good at online, for example, right? Like there's so many other programs online right now that are doing very well because that was their business. That was their business, right?
So do you feel like you're kind of behind in it then, or I mean, it doesn't sound like it's a great position to be in. I hate to, tell you like so directly. Like I wouldn't want. I don't envy you. I'm not too far from that myself, but I don't envy you for sure. That I mean, my business also very much an offline business, and so I'm going along this journey with you in many ways, but I don't have the same associated costs that you do. So I'm looking to you and trying to learn from you.
Basically, I'm just going to be collecting data, collecting what works, what best practices, how to deliver, for example, online classes, the best things like this, and make it easier, and basically put together an online program of a service or products to sell. And actually, this past week, I've been doing testing all week. I've been testing our online activity for every center. I did it myself. I tested it myself. I had the team observe me. So they observed, they gave feedback. I'm compiling all that together and then putting that together to give parents a better experience. We also surveyed the parents and the team. We surveyed the parents, surveyed the team. I did a whole week of classes online, this whole week, all centers. And I had the team observe me every morning.
That's super intense. I admire you. I'm learning from you. And by the way, I don't know if you caught it, but Joe's a new dad, and he's doing all of this, while juggling that, right? So super impressed. Like way to go, man. All right, let's wrap this up. So we're gonna check in again with you in a month. Where do you think you're gonna be at that time? If you can make any prediction.
To be honest, I think we'll have an idea of when we can open from the government. But before that time, from now till then, I would like to be able to provide online services from our team to our parents, so that our teachers can make some money. And we're also going to be selling our workbooks, so that would be a product, and these online classes.
I'm excited to hear how that's gonna happen. I hope the best for you, obviously. And I have like so much confidence in you. You just exude this kind of like, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's not like we know it, but we'll figure it out. And I love that, man. So thank you so much for doing this. I will talk to you in a little bit, I guess, huh?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for having me on, and I am excited for the next call. It's great because it keeps us accountable.
Cool.
Thank you so much, man.
Pleasure. I'll talk to you soon, okay?